Welcome to the Gibberfish Podcast.
Well, we may not be in the Hellfire Club, but we're here to talk Gibberfish, aren't we, Dom?
Yep, we're here back again, recording without Hellfire Club t-shirts because we do not have the speed of Hermes. Right? Did you see this bullshit with the Hellfire Club t-shirts?
No, I assume it instantly sold out.
Yeah, they were getting sold in a shop here in the UK. I don't know if it's worldwide or international, but a shop over here in the UK called Primark, and they were being sold for £10, and they were apparently of really, really good quality. Me quite liking the series, I tried to track one down, could not find them in Scotland whatsoever. If I wanted to get one, I'd have to order it from HMV for £25.
Nah, I'm good.
So I want a Hellfire Club t-shirt, but I'm not going to spend that amount of money. I'm just going to wait for Primark to bring them back, or I'm going to find it cheap at a convention or something like that. If conventions ever come back to Scotland.
I heard good things about there was stuff coming back like last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, I was working the weekend. It was actually due in Glasgow. There was like an anime con. There's always anime cons because we're all dirty and filthy anyway. So
yeah,
coronavirus can't really scare that away.
Some of the conventions that I used to go to, I'm terrified to go back to because they usually have fighting game tournaments.
Oh yeah, you had a segment at once, and you just went off for like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
motherfuckers,
it still bugs me, man. Right. It still bugs me. Hygiene at cons was important back then. It is now vital. If you come into a con smelling with a 3-year-old mask, get it. And do not be annoyed if I spray you with deodorant.
Or Febreze.
Or fucking dunk you in Swarfiga.
Oh, I'd miss Swarfiga. That was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You just put this weird green gel in your hands, and it would soak up all the oil, all the dirt, all the grease, and then you'd just be left there with just the cleanest hands, but the most terrifying feeling you've just poisoned yourself.
Yeah, all the paint and super glue and stuff for when you were making your Warhammer models, just sitting there in the sink with some skin. That shit was industrial strength, and you always used more than you needed.
I have paid a price for this. I do not know what the cost will be someday.
When you'll just go to shake someone's hand, they'll just fall off, and Swarfiga will ooze out of it and move on to the next villain. Next villain, next victim.
All my victims are villains. That's how I keep them. That's how I stay in the police's good graces.
That's how you justify your murder sprees.
Yeah, hey, gotta do it somehow. We originally planned this as being an episode about Stranger Things Season 4. Unfortunately, we just kind of can't feel there's enough there to talk about that hasn't already been talked about. We're a couple of weeks behind. And it's basically just the point where I assume if you've seen Stranger Things, you've probably watched it already. Like, I assume if you're interested in it, you're not waiting for us to give you the go-ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were interested in the series, yeah, this is probably the best one we've had in a while.
It was definitely better than... I know a lot of people hated Season 3, but I actually thought Season 3 was fantastic.
Season 3 was a massive improvement over Season 2.
Yeah, Season 2 was where it tired me out a little bit, because it was cool, Eleven finding other people like her. Like you see... Can't remember her name.
I know her number's 8.
Yeah, number 8. But she has a name, it begins with a K, I think.
Yeah.
Callie, thank you.
All I remember
Voice behind the PC.
All I remember is that's the scenes with Kai Green in it. And Kai Green is a former US bodybuilder and strongman, and he is just the funniest. He's just a guy who hangs out and happens to be like 6 foot tall and about 6 foot wide, and he's fucking awesome. Yeah. He can do the splits apparently, which is impressive for a guy with that much muscle. You'd think something would tear.
Yeah, you think that amount of weight being dispersed that. Yeah, our short review of Stranger Things Season 4. Go watch it. Like Colin said, you're not waiting for us to give you the go-ahead to watch it. If you wanted to see it, it's there already. There were some sort of naysayers out there saying that Season 4 was the worst one yet, but I think they must have been watching a different bootleg copy of Stranger Things from Cambodia or some shit like that.
Yeah, there's a lot there as fans of like horror stuff to enjoy. I was a big fan of...
Definitely ramped up the horror this season.
Vecna's possession scenes and the twisting of like bodies that you can pull off with certain happens to a few characters throughout the show, and just watching it happen, oh fuck, it was up there with a Saw torture trap.
Yeah,
I know there's one that is about twisting limbs, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's about, you just hear like a ratcheting noise as stuff moves back further and further, and this was somehow worse than watching those happen gradually. We got the best character of the season, or of the show so far, Eddie.
Yep.
I thought Eddie Munson was a fantastic addition to the show. Spoilers, he dies. He does not make it all the way through at the end. And I honestly
felt like that Tyler the Creator meme came in very, very handy. Whenever, because there was a post by the Duffer Brothers saying that, don't worry, we've got some plans for Eddie Munson. I just felt like saying it after I watched season finale. So that was just a fucking lie, wasn't it? Because Eddie was good. It was a bit of a change of pace, whereas you've got everyone who's just, we owe this, like we are involved in this now, we need to stop it. Eddie's just, no, we fucking don't. These are monsters. Let's go and listen to some records and do normal kid shit and smoke weed.
For me, it was first of all just a nice thing to see a Satanist character who isn't the bad guy, and it is a very key point that everyone in the town assumes he's the bad guy because he's a Satanist, and he's evil. And
I wouldn't really say he's a Satanist.
Well, he's the Dungeons and Dragons guy. He's got this weird eclectic taste. He's a drug dealer on the side. Like, he sells weed to people. He's just he's a kid who has a darker side. Yeah, he's a darker kid.
And they can use him as the focal point for the whole Satanic Panic storyline that they're building up for this season. Yeah,
which is very well handled, and it's some of the best stuff. Is you get this kind of weird mob mentality forming, especially around members of the basketball team who are like, no, we need to go and save, or we need to go avenge Chrissy, the cheerleader. We need to go and avenge her, and we're going to do it with mob violence. And it's that kind of thing that we joked about with Halloween Kills, where you have like this small town mob violence of just like rednecks with shotguns and trucks and stuff, and you're like, okay, this is handling it better than Halloween, because they just have it eked out. Like, it's constantly there. They're constantly hunting and searching and looking and gathering more weapons to take down Eddie, who's just a kid. He's the wrong kid. He's just someone who was caught in the middle of it all.
Yeah, and because he's got hellfire, and it's like, oh, you're playing that Dungeons and Dragons, you're summoning demons and shit like that. Then you've got what's the kid, the guy that's leading the charge, the Aryan dude.
I want to say Jason.
Yeah, Jason sounds right. That might be what I hate him. I hate the name Jason, and just everything about this guy was like, if you were in The Boys, you'd love Homelander. You'd be a kind of Todd flag shagger.
Yeah, it's that same kind of guy, that small town, small mind type.
Yeah, and because he's the captain of the basketball team, he can get the crowd riled and stuff like that. He's got that.
Yeah, he is a leader. He's just he's a leader for a bad cause.
Yeah, he can give that inspiration, because if you're talking about Stranger Things, it just helps to talk about things in D&D terms. He's dishing out that inspiration left, right, and centre, and people are just going, "Yeah, let's follow this clearly murderous man."
Well, I think the one of the other things that was good was the horror aspect when it came to Vecna. First of all, calling him Vecna based on a Dungeons & Dragons character.
Yep,
that was pretty cool.
One.
But you and I were sitting...
when they started calling him Vecna, I almost shot myself.
Uh-oh.
What the hell? Like, why? They can't call him Vecna. Vecna's... Because they usually have some kind of similarity to their D&D characters. Like, the Mind Flayer can literally control the minds of people. The Demogorgon is a horrible, nasty-looking beast that, uber strong, so that's kind of a bit more of a parallel there. But Vecna, he has got some whole other dimensional set of powers that I'm quite glad they didn't really touch on in Stranger Things. But I always thought that Vecna was a creation of Matt Mercer from Critical Role. And I looked into it and I was like, no, he just used Vecna again. Yeah. Vecna has been about since the 1980s.
Vecna is one of the old gods.
Yeah,
we dare not speak his name.
Yeah, pretty much. In certain canons of D&D, if you speak his name, just people with cloaks slit your throat.
I like just how far D&D goes sometimes, and you as a fan of it don't think of it as being too weird, and then you say it to a normal person, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, boy. We shouldn't have brought
trying to
that.
Explain pacts and sorcerer skills and warlock skills to someone who's just not played D&D is strange. Like, so they sell their soul to a demon and they get a cool sword and magic, but at the end of their lifespan they don't go to the good version of the afterlife. You sure the sword is worth it? Going to hell.
It's a pretty badass sword, bro. Plus the 8 damage.
Yeah. Plus you get cool, beam powers that shoot out your hands. Don't worry, man. It's worth it. Totally worth it.
Well, that's what I find interesting, because that's where you can see the kind of root of satanic panic, like, spawning. Like, this whole thing of, wait, you're selling your soul, your immortal soul, to a demon for a sword that gives you just a little bit more damage. And those kind of just statements out of context to a heavily, like, Christian rural America is like, what are these kids doing? Like, do we need to investigate? Do we need to get the posse together? Like, there's only one way to end this, and it's with shotguns and American beer.
Right, I'm going to say something strange, but I want you to stick with me. The person who helped me understand the satanic panic was actually Philly D.
Right.
And it was not because he did a video. It was not because he did a video on the satanic panic. I don't think he's ever covered it, and if he has, I haven't watched the video. He was talking about how he spent. This was years ago. This was back when SourceFed was still open. He went through several days, several hours of painful dental surgery because he heard that a dental-based infection can go up through your sinuses and into your brain and kill you instantly. Turns out he didn't need the surgery, but he's glad that he got it anyway. That made me realise that Americans, if you tell them anything, they will fucking believe it.
That was a way more bro. I thought we were going the kind of metaphor of like, that's how it starts. You start with a rumour and an allegation, and all of a sudden people take drastic precautions. You're like, nah, Americans thick, bro.
Americans are fucking idiots. Apologies to any of our fans in America, but I mean, if you're listening to this, chances are you're the smarter type of American. You get the kind of the humour and the intelligence of this show, but some of you are fucking idiots, like.
Just speaking of idiots, just can we talk about just the way that all the like everyone just kind of plunges headlong into the upside down, knowing what's on the other side. Like, yeah. A lot of the kids in there are just kind of like, we've been through this before. They've all had some kind of contact with demons or like creatures from the upside down.
Yeah.
And yet they're all like, hey, there's a chance we could have to go through a portal to that. And they're all like, oh, I guess we gotta go.
Yeah, and yet again, the last person to go through the portal is Eddie, because he's the same thing. He's the guy that's not been exposed to all this before, and he hears that there might be demons and shit down there. He just goes, I think we should stay the fuck away from whatever this shit is. But it kicks off it ends one of the arcs for Steve this season. It's him trying to prove himself that he's not just the babysitter, because he's the first one to go in, and he gets dragged underneath the water and through the portal. Yeah,
he goes to investigate and like a tentacle, just appears like, oh no.
I know where this is going.
I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going.
Then you get characters like Dustin are just like, come on, we've got to go help him. I'm like, what are you going to do? You're 14.
That's also one thing I noticed as well, is the kids have aged a lot. I know it's been a while since the last season was made, but holy shit. Yeah. Mike and Will in particular, those are grown-ass men.
Yeah. I was going to say, Mike in particular is a giant. Same with Lucas. And I was actually reading someone was posting on Twitter saying, like, how can this guy, or someone was raging on Twitter saying, how can the guy that plays Steve Harrington play a 18-year-old character so well when he's in his 30s? All right, maybe this is a trend, and it fucking is. Kid that plays Dustin, Gaten Matarazzo, he's 20. Chick that plays 11, she's 18, and they're all kind of like very early 20s, yet they're passing for 13, 14.
I mean, they are all quite baby-faced.
Yeah.
And I guess if you know you're playing that character for the next couple of years, you'll probably take steps to avoid, like, I don't know, like aging yourself rapidly. Like,
yeah. What's
his name? Will's older brother. I keep forgetting who he is. Jonathan. That dude has looked old since day one.
Yeah.
And that I kind of get. Like, that's not they don't have like a great upbringing, really.
Yeah. So, and the guy that plays Jonathan is a dad as well, so that shit laid you.
Yeah. He's unfortunate. But in general, like that, the cast itself all stays pretty relatively young, but every now and again, like, puberty hit you like a fucking truck, son.
Yeah.
It's
you see like Lucas, Will, and Mike all just easily a foot taller than everybody else.
I like Lucas' storyline there. I thought he had a good year of just kind of, he got into basketball just as like kind of like as a thing because he was good at it, and then it just drags him away from his friends. I think that's a very interesting storyline that's kind of just there in the background for a lot of it. Doesn't really get addressed, but in the end, because they're still friends, it kind of doesn't really it doesn't become an issue. But the fact that something like that's sitting there is quite good. And what was the other ones? I actually liked the Russia storyline. I thought that was quite good. Gave Hopper something to do because this is like a kids' teenage drama. It's kind of like Goosebumps, or like if Scooby-Doo was a couple of years younger, where it's just a bunch of idiots running around trying to figure out a mystery. Yeah. So when
then you
have
cut to Russia and the Hopper's running around with a sword trying to cut off the head of a Demogorgon.
Well, I mean, just if you have somebody taking all the adults out of the situation like that, it's kind of silly and it can't happen again. Like now that the cast are all back together at the end of season 4, that's going to be the way it sticks. But you have to deal with the fact that there's an adult there with an adult brain and like problem-solving skills and a fucking gun. An armed, trained man with a gun is there to solve problems and kick ass. You then don't have to worry like about threat levels, or you have to raise threat levels to such a point where like having kids around is kind of dangerous. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the 5th and final season plays out. But having them off doing this weird side adventure, but still having them contribute towards the end, I thought was quite good.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the real challenge of the final season is going to be to have them all meet up again, because they're all kind of colliding with each other again. Mike and the California guys, they meet up with the rest of the people in Hawkins. The Russia gang kind of meet up, so everybody's under kind of one roof again. It's going to be interesting to see how they tackle just this many characters in a single season.
Yeah. And I think you could do a good bit with the change they've all experienced over the last couple of years. But yeah, now that they're all back together, like you have no excuses. This is it. It's the band's all here. Yeah, play some fucking music.
Yeah, and it's inevitable we're going to get a few deaths next season.
Yeah.
And if one of them is Argyle, I'm going to kick the living shit out of both Sean Levy and the Duffer Brothers.
I was not that impressed by Argyle until he starts really kind of coming into his own later on, and he just happens to be like, he's so stoned, he just happens to sync up with the universe and find stuff out. You're like, okay, I'll let this slide.
Yeah. I like those kind of dumb, just kind of drift through life type of characters. He's so stoned that he sees things that other people forget. Just kind of, hey, look, there's a fucking door over there, and everyone thinks, oh, shut up, dickhead, you just stoned. And it's like, no, there's really a door over there. Then everyone goes, oh shit.
Yeah, it's good comedic relief, and it gives you a way out of certain scenarios. If you're like, how are they going to find this key? Like, what if the stone guy just accidentally tries to eat it? All right, I guess it works. He just happens to be looking under stuff for things to eat. He happens to find a key.
He's going full Shaggy, just kind of going, oh, look, this chocolate key. Is like, no, it's a real key, dumbass. Stop trying to eat it.
Maybe put some ranch on it. No.
You can leave now.
Give it back. Give it back. Go stand in the corner. Touch nothing. I fucking swear. If your ass goes to a revolving door one more time, I'm going to beat you.
He's the kind of guy that you says, right, we're going into a place with a revolving door. Just go through once. That's all you need.
Other plot lines. There was this thing I didn't notice. I was wondering how subtle it was going to be, because I did see there was a thing on Twitter about one of the characters coming out as kind of gay. There was a confession scene between Will and Mike, and Will is very obviously like talking about something else when he's describing how important Mike is to the group. And I was like, I wonder, like, because the article, the Twitter thing was that the actor had come out to confirm that yes, that is a confession scene of feelings and emotions for Mike, or for Will, who is gay for Mike. But it's obviously that, like, Will is too young to understand what he's really talking about, and he's struggling with the emotions on all the theory and all that, or like his idea of what love is. But I watched the scene, and I was like, who needed that clarified? That is the most obvious coming out scene I've ever fucking seen in my entire life. It was really well done, but at the same time, like, who needed that explained to them? You know, who's in the thick class for this one?
Yeah, it wasn't obviously like beating them over the head with it. There wasn't like a pride flag that dropped down and, you know, rainbow fireworks shooting off in the background. It was just, it was a well done scene, and it was obvious. Like, okay, that's what they're hinting to. It's like when in Persona 4, I think it is, there's a character, just how he acts and stuff. Like, yeah, you can pretty obviously tell that they are coded that way. And then there's theories on the internet and questions like forum posts just going, "Is this character Kane?" Like,
Guys,
you need to
come
stop
on.
and read. Guys, we can't continue to spell this out for you. Sometimes you just got to put on your big boy pants and come to face these hard truths.
You get a twitch on the subtitles that says he has the gay. You're like, oh.
Yeah. Just switch on the Netflix or the Prime subtitles that just say, "This is what this means."
Subtitles for idiots. I love it. I love it. I'm making a note. Subtitles for idiots. That'd be fucking great.
Context subtitles is the next big business idea.
Well, actually, there was another thing I saw. It was that, and I noticed this as well. Is I sometimes have the subtitles on for shows I watch on Netflix, just because if I'm not really paying that much attention or I'm not really in the room, seeing something written down will like make me pay more attention. So like seeing the constant like changing text keeps my attention focused on the TV, because I watch too much media, so I'm constantly bored. And it's probably something I might need to stop doing. But I noticed that the subtitles for Netflix, for Stranger Things in particular, are really good. Especially if you've got like the kind of audio closed captioning.
Yeah, the audio descriptions are fucking amazing for Stranger Things, because you'll get stuff like squelching ominously, and it's a slug or something.
Yeah, ominous squelching, I think was one of them. Yeah, like just the fact that if you watched enough old subtitled media, it's just kind of all about just text, and then like stuff like door closes. It's all just very kind of blunt. It's like stage directions, or it's like notes from the script. And then when you get to Stranger Things, the number of adjectives that are used to help describe subtitled events, like, ominous squelching. You get that. There's just an extra layer there that was a very nice touch.
I thought that was funny. It was like unsettling music. It's synth music.
Wet slapping of feet. Oh!
Yeah.
Bro, put a towel down. Yeah, I like that as well. Also, in regards to the Will thing, Jonathan stepping up as a big brother.
Yeah.
That was a fucking... there are so many bad Big Brother scenes where it's just like, the big brother just looks at the little one and goes, "Don't worry, I got this," and he runs off and dies. But the idea that you would just have a scene between two characters is like, hey, we're still brothers, we're still buddies, like, I got you, and if you want to talk, I'm right here for you. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Big Brother scenes on TV. Fuck yes.
It was pretty good, and my takeaway from it was like, it was Jonathan kind of saying, "I get we're in the middle of this eldritch horror bullshit, but that stuff still matters, so talk to me if you feel like it."
Yeah. And I like that. And actually, Stranger Things does a really good job of, I think we talked about this with season 3, but unconventional, or maybe not, just like relationships that Hollywood doesn't normally show. Like Steve and Robin. The idea that, like, he tried to hit on her, it didn't work out because it turns out she's gay. And then him just being like, "We're still buddies, alright?"
Yeah.
And then that continuing buddy relationship is like, every scene with Steve in it is better than if he wasn't there. Like, any other character in those scenes just doesn't work, but Steve's just kind of blind confidence and just kind of, I'll just bullshit my way through this conversation attitude makes so many conversations great.
Yeah. Steve's just, "Shut up, I can do this now." But like, dude, you really can't.
I know you seem confident, but nah.
Yeah, I know you've got a new lease on life and you're protecting your children, but sit down.
I know that they're trying to move the character away from it, but Mama Bird Steve is just fucking great.
Yeah.
Like him just trying to wrangle all the kids, and you're like, oh my god. If you have younger cousins, you've been there. It fucking sucks.
Yeah. Or if you've got nieces or nephews, you know exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Other than that, I was a big fan of like the severity of the massacre at Hawkins' lab. Holy shit. People are just getting torn to pieces, and just the bodies lying around. Like, we would talk about like a horror scene being included. Having something that's pretty much not so much about like terror and suspense, but about just revealing raw gore and the violence that's been done to people, and you didn't see it happen. Fucking terrifying.
Yeah. And it's the fact that you can tell that number one, or Henry, whatever you want to call him, it's just, he's been planning this for a while. He's thought out every individual step of this, but because he's been nerfed by whatever implant or whatever the crap he had stuck in him, he couldn't really do it. But you can tell that every single moment, every single moment of pain that he's enacting here, he's thought about for decades.
Yeah, he's spent ages walking through the halls saying, okay, I'm going to go to that room first, I'm going to go to this door, then these guards, then this door. And oh no, you've had a horrible thing planned in your head for years, and now it's go time today. I do like the idea as well that because of, just the sheer trauma that Elle's gone through, she can't figure out if it was her that did it for a large part of the season. She thinks she did this. And nobody's really stopped to correct her, which is kind of like, Dr. Brenner's a really shitty person, but the character is interesting because it's investigating that whole kind of unethical science angle, which is pretty good for an 80s movie or like something set in the 80s, because you have all these really weird experiments and really weird scientific ideas, especially about kids and mental development. Obviously not to do with superpowers, but when it comes to like kids' development, science in the 80s was fucking mental.
Yeah.
So having that character there to just kind of say, I will blanket greenlight any dumb idea for a science experiment involving kids, so long as it gives me psychic powers.
Yeah, anything that can give me more of these walking atomic bombs, I'll do it. And you kind of get the sense that he might have fed into that a little bit to make 11 stronger, because he knew what 11 did, or he knew what Henry did, and just kind of let this continue. He probably could have said, look, it wasn't your fault, but he just kept saying, if you were stronger, you would have been able to control your powers and all that stuff, and that just, I think anyway, just pisses her off enough to try and, build herself up and make herself stronger so she doesn't have to go through that again.
My theory is that Dr. Brenner has basically known that he needed a weapon to take down Henry. Knowing that Henry was basically at some point going to break free, going to do something to unleash all of his powers, he was looking for something to take him down, and that is 11.
Yeah.
And now that's why he's working so hard. He's always going on about, no, we need to do this right. You need to be able to take down one in a single fight, because if he wins, you're gonna die. So he's always very cautious. He's always kind of like, let's wait and see. Like, he'd sacrifice the entire town of Hawkins to buy enough time to let 11 fully train and recover her powers to fight one, or fight Vecna. I did like the reveal, by the way, that Vecna was thrown into the kind of upside down and just found a normal world and then took it over.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. Like, that shows a certain type of person in a way. Like, the idea to conquer over an entire, other universe just so you've had something to throw back at your enemies back home.
I like the idea that, because usually getting this type of, film, TV show, series, you usually get the idea that they were warped or maybe changed by the place that we're going to. You kind of get the sense in Stranger Things when Henry's thrown into the upside down, nothing changed about him. He just went, okay, there's new victims here and there's no one here to stop me.
Yeah, I've got new things that I can use for my advantage, because the whole segment with him and the Black Widows, where he's like in his house as a kid and he's just cultivating Black Widow spiders and he's got them crawling over his hand, you're like, fuck that.
I actively looked away when I seen those scenes. I'm like, nope. I know they're digital. I know they're not real, but nope. I ain't looking.
Actually, speaking of digital versus physical, I liked Vecna's suit for the most part.
Yeah, that was badass. It was pretty cool.
It was a good blend of physical and digital. I like the movement, the kind of the pulsing, the twitching bits that were on him, especially in the neck. You saw a lot of that kind of like that main vein up and down to the body and the neck.
Yeah.
I don't think they should have shown him walking in a full camera, like a full body shot of him walking. Something about the way he walks, it becomes very obvious it's a guy in a rubber suit, which at the same time I commend, but also you gotta shoot that very carefully. Which is odd, because it leads to one of my favourite scenes, and it's Vecna walking down the stairs. And we were talking about Halloween references in this, because Vecna gets shot out a window and disappears.
By my favourite character this season.
I've just forgotten her name. Shit. Nancy. She's one of my favourites too. I think she's very good.
No, she's gone through basically the kind of Claire Redfield transformation, and I say that because if there's ever another Resident Evil film, if Nancy Wheeler isn't Claire Redfield, they're doing something wrong. There's so many cast members in Stranger Things that could just be Resident Evil characters, it's insane. But she goes through the kind of, I don't know what I'm doing, like just, innocent high school, college girl, and she just becomes Ripley from Aliens, like ready to kill a motherfucker.
Yeah, there's not a scene of her holding a shotgun that I'm like, I don't believe you're holding that shotgun. Every time she clocks it, I'm like, oh fuck, she knows what she's doing. Uh-oh,
Yeah.
she a country girl.
Yeah, Nancy Wheeler ready to fuck things up. That's why I got extremely worried. I'm like, oh crap, she's been caught by the Vecna thing. I swear to Christ, if you kill Eddie and her this season, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I actually thinking about like we talk a lot about like cringy like modern political things showing up in like older themed shows. The fact that it's like I don't think Steve does anything to Vecna, and I didn't notice it. I didn't really care at all. Like it was just Robin's there with Molotovs, Nancy's there with a shotgun. They take him down. I guess Steve was there in case Vecna closed the gap. I don't think he puts a hand on him.
Yeah, no, because he's got a baseball bat and shit on him, so I don't think he gets a.
Yeah, he has the axe. Steve doesn't really do anything in that. He helps. Like he's the first one through to like try and navigate through the field of like vines and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's Nancy and Robin take down Vecna, and it's not like a woo ya feminist moment. It's just kind of like it's a thing that happens in the show. Yeah. Get over it, you know.
Yeah, it's more. It's not that Steve's like, oh yeah, I can't do anything. Let's let these women do it. It's just that he has an axe in a gunfight.
Yeah, and he brought an axe against a monster who's about 2 feet taller than him, and also is a giant fucking monster demon person. Like, yeah, I wouldn't swing an axe at that unless I absolutely had to.
With psychic powers as well, so maybe burn them from a distance.
What else was?
No, did Steve not throw Molotovs as well?
I think he might throw the first one or something like that. I could have sworn it was Robin though. I think he helps light Molotovs, but I don't know.
Yeah, he has his lighter.
Other than that, I think the only other big scene, other than the last one I want to talk about, which we have to, like, I think we're legally obligated to talk about this one. Yeah. But people talking about like 11 taking down Sullivan's, just Sullivan's strike force going into the Nina base.
Yeah,
which was like the actual precision of the drill of them marching down with the shields and like popping up to fire M16s and going back down, mechanical and amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was the difference because I heard a podcast complaining about why would one branch of the military fight another one. I'm like, I don't think Sullivan's in a main branch of the military. I think he's wearing an army uniform to explain who he is to other army people. I think he might be something else, like he's part of some CIA division. Where if somebody says, you've got to go to the site, wipe it out, no survivors, burn the place to the ground, he goes, yes, sir, and leaves.
He might have been in the military at one point.
Oh, yeah. He got promoted and then was highlighted for special divisions. And you're like, okay. Sullivan's
he was given a blank check and just said, right, we need you to make a special division that deals with shit.
What type of shit, sir? You'll be told that in the mission briefing. Until then, just train a bunch of guys. We'll give you a free helicopter. Ooh.
A free helicopter, you say? I'm in, damn it.
The scene of Elle, people are saying, oh, I can't believe it took Elle so long to take down a helicopter. I'm like, she was sedated at that point. Like, she had just come out of being medically sedated by force. I don't know if you've ever been, you've ever come out of like drugs for like surgery and stuff like that. It's fucking terrifying. You're not really awake. Like, your body starts moving and doing stuff, and it's why you see those videos of people, like, after dental surgery, and they're just talking nonsense.
Yeah, you're conscious, but you're just waiting for everything else to come back online. You're just gonna, give me a second here, the eyes are open, and the brain is rebooting.
But the mouth has been talking for 20 minutes. And it's just one of the things of, like, people say, oh, Elle's so weak, she couldn't really take down a helicopter. I'm like, Elle coming out of being massively drugged, took down a helicopter within moments. That's powerful.
And she had that weird power dampener neck thing.
See, I thought that was just a shock collar, that thing that was around her neck. So yeah, the last scene I think we really need to talk about. The death of the one, the only, Eddie Munson. I saw this hyped up a lot on Twitter because it was, honestly, fucking awesome moment. I think it's one of the best edited segments of television I've seen in ages. It is just all about a building climax of just a timer counting down, a soul intensifying, and then just imminent physical threat.
Yeah. Even though it is one of the most overrated bands it's no secret that I do not like Metallica. Even though I have to admit that Master of Puppets is a fucking masterpiece, right? And having your new character that's kind of getting into his role, having him shred out a fucking solo where all these death bats come charging at him, and a big kind of distraction, pretty fucking awesome.
And just setting up so that like this is not really an unnecessary sacrifice, but they've been told, hey, you don't have to play the hero. And he's like, no, I'm a finished solo. I will not let this go undone. And he just kind of keeps firing away. And having it being just a deliberately, like, it's like studio engineered to be hype as fuck. But having it come off as being as good as it is unreal. I like the fact that heavy metal, if people find out about heavy metal and Metallica and stuff like this from Stranger Things, fucking awesome.
Yeah, if there's more metalheads coming up, the
world's a better place.
First them, give them some records, right? Don't. If some new metalheads don't come up, don't be a gatekeeper. Just like, awesome. If you like Metallica, try Megadeth. If you like Megadeth, try these bands.
If you like Megadeth, try something that's actually good.
How fucking dare you, sir?
Get kids in the door with stuff like Stranger Things, Metallica, whatever, and I'm like, hey, want to hear some really cool stuff? And then play them the weird shit. Give them the, like, there's so much new metal coming out. I found, I think there was a Taiwanese metal, like, folk metal band the other day. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome. Like, give them, like, open the door and just say, go for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to find some weird shit. You're going to find some stuff you don't like. But at the same time, just go explore and have fun in a whole new genre of music that's totally different from anything you've ever...
I like the fact that Stranger Things kind of hyped up 2 songs throughout season 4. That is the Kate Bush song, Run Up That Hill.
Yeah, which is now playing constantly on the UK radio. You have like 2 more weeks of this, guys, and I'm going to start complaining.
Yeah, you've had your fun. It's time to move on. But
pretty good tune. Like it. Not bad. Not going to listen to it for the rest of my life.
But, not a bad tune, but it is making people go back and look at Kate Bush's back catalogue and other 80s music. But because of Metallica being in there, people are going, oh, okay, maybe metal is cool. And you just see, all the older brothers and, older parents of children nowadays just going, yes, Metallica is cool. Your dad isn't boring. Listen to metal. And all the vinyl player comes out in this stack of old metal vinyls. Like, you're going to get an education, child.
Child, it's time for you to sit down and have a beer and learn about some real music.
Today, child, we go to Sweden for death metal.
Behold, the Gothenburg sound.
This band is called In Flames. You will learn to love them if you want to stay in this house.
Although, if you wrote an article saying about how Stranger Things made heavy metal cool again, put your dad's fucking Iron Maiden t-shirt back in the drawer, right? Yeah. Fuck you piece of... Like, we don't need that around. Like, we'll take all the newcomers, like, come in, check out the concerts, come to the shows, buy the merch, buy the albums, check out metal. It's fucking awesome. We don't need pop journalists showing up, alright? You can fuck off.
Alright, I thought you were saying that, like, leave your dad's old-ass Iron Maiden t-shirt out there where it is. We don't need more of those kicking around.
No,
I think you just didn't like Iron Maiden.
I'm not that familiar with Iron Maiden. My dad listens to them a lot, and he has them on from time to time. But I don't want the pop journalists showing up. I've seen what they do to everything else. I don't need that bullshit in the heavy metal community. It's just fucking garbage. It's just words spammed at the internet because no one's having to pay for ink.
Yeah. It's kind of something that's happening a lot in video games nowadays. You get people saying, prime example, a big game that just came out of the past week, maybe 2 weeks, Stray, the game where you literally play as a cat.
I actually bought that and I'm looking forward to it. I've not played it yet. It looks weird. It
just looks like a really, 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 really good, really relaxing game, which is a weird thing to me. As someone who always plays quite over-the-top hype games, playing a game to relax has always been a bit of a strange sentence to me. Strange thing to me.
Yeah.
Stranger Things, bro.
Hey.
I brought it back.
We did it. But it took 40 minutes, kids, but we did it.
Yeah. We got it. But just that kind of pop journalism style. There's people, it's taking things that you enjoy and just trying to not show you a different side, but because they don't have to pay anyone to put up their articles anymore, they can just post them anywhere. You're getting the rise of articles that are taking the piss out of things that are universally loved, like Stray. The one that I read that was on Kotaku, it was, "I'm sorry, your weird little cat game isn't as fun as you think it." And I'm like, you got paid to write that, and then you got paid to post it on a website, and all you're doing is shitting on things.
Kotaku for the last couple of years has just been weird. It honestly has been complete nonsense from like the last 5 years or so. I think at some point they just went mental and decided to post whatever nonsense they could think up. But yeah, it's
they've been doing that kind of, BuzzFeed style pop journalist bullshit where it's just, "Oh, you like this? Well, here's why it's a pile of shit." Well, can't people just fucking like things? Do you have
are you having fun? Not on my watch.
People being happy and accepting other people's choices. Fuck that.
Everything you love is garbage. 300 words, 5-minute read time.
Yeah. And you see it all over YouTube as well. I'm currently playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on the Switch, and I did a quick YouTube on it, see if there's any reviews out there from people that I know that might be worth checking out. And it's all just, here's why Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and is the worst in the series. Then you scroll down and it's like, here's why Xenoblade Chronicles as a series is a pile of shit. And you just, okay, click on one, and within 5 minutes, like, I should warn you, I've never played more than 5 minutes of a Xenoblade game. And I'm like, well, that's just fucking invalidated this whole video.
Why are you giving opinions on it like you know shit? What the fuck?
Yeah. Like, if you don't know anything, especially if you've only played 5 minutes of a 200-hour RPG, no. Do the legwork, fucker.
But I can't. I don't have the time. I have so many articles. Do better journalism. Join a better company. Tell this pop journalist shit to shove it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you must have seen no end of this bullshit during Elden Ring's release.
I gotta be honest. I am such a FromSoft fanboy. I didn't really read up on much to do with Elden Ring. I wasn't looking for opinions. I knew I was going to love it. I just walked. So I managed to skip all because I knew.
I'm not saying you were looking for reviews. Just people that might have been brought to your attention of someone going, "Elden Ring's too hard, and that's why it should be changed."
I did find a few videos like that, and I find them hilarious because it's normally a video made by an Elden Ring fan who's explaining quite calmly, "This is why you're wrong. This is what you should try. This is if you wanted help, reach out to the community. We would have helped you anyway." It's what the FromSoft community does best, is picking each other up and dragging each other through these fucking games.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole thing gets missed because I felt harassed and bullied because this person kept spawning in my game and killing me. It's like, yeah, he's kind of an ass, but he spawned and killed everyone else. So he was making a YouTube compilation video. Sorry, you're part of it. Stop crying. Get over it.
Take the exposure and fucking get on with it.
Yeah. I just remember the old thing of there was a whole period in time, and it probably still is going on, where people would refuse to pay artists for their art for YouTube videos, and they'd be like, I'll get you back in the exposure, bro. I'll tag you and everything. I'm getting murdered for the exposure. Just getting fireballs cast at you for the exposure.
Yeah. That was a weird time in YouTube.
It's I hope it's gone. I don't know. I don't really follow that much in the wake of YouTube drama. It's mostly nonsense anyway. Yeah. But at one point we were talking about Stranger Things. So
but we got distracted by pop journalism. So, yeah.
I think that might be the point of pop journalism. I think just to distract you.
Yeah, just to distract you and make you question things that you loved. Like, I like Xenoblade, so that must mean I'm a piece of shit. Oh. Am I a piece of shit?
Dom, I hate to tell you that means you're racist. You have to just leave. I'd like to apologise for platforming a racist for the past 45 minutes, and for the.
I don't want to be racist, man.
I don't want to be racist, but Xenoblade's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I've played 4 of the games at this point. Spent a lot of money on those things. Fuck it, I'll be racist as long as I get more Xenoblade.
Dom finally comes out as a proud racist because he likes a video game.
Yeah, I mean, who's it that I was talking to a friend recently about Berserk, and in fact, I'd say everybody that I know, with a couple of exceptions, those that people haven't seen it or not really interested in it, most of the people that I know like Berserk or like something attached to Berserk. I was talking to a friend about it before Pathfinder. We were just kind of in a shop getting some stuff, and there was a person behind us in a Naruto hoodie who called me what was it? A woman-hating pig because I like Berserk. and asked me if I'd even read more than a single chapter, a single page of it, because it's all just woman hating bullshit. And I just asked, have you ever read Berserk before? Because that's not what any of it is.
I have the first.
Sure, that's in there, but it's not just for shock value.
I wouldn't say there's any deliberate bad things happen to everyone in Berserk. There's a lot of stuff that happens to female characters that happens to female characters in all media. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say anybody goes it's not like the author is going out of his way to be like, the guys are out having a beer, Casca's over here getting R-worded. It's not like that. It's more like this is a shitty place where people go through horrible things and try to survive as best they can.
Yeah, and it's not just certain people go through shitty things. It is everyone goes through shitty things. But
yeah, I'd recommend Stranger Things.
Yeah, I'd wholeheartedly recommend Stranger Things. It's not just a weird horror show. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah, and I'd say it's doing a lot well for weird relationships and dynamics that we don't really see. I hope it I hope it normalizes stuff like this. I hope we just get people who are used to writing characters like these, because these are better than average, way better than average. And I think if we talk about the next show that's inevitably going to be discussed, I think we'll find the contrast quite illuminating, will we, Dom?
Yeah, let's talk about something a bit more neutral before that. Obviously, you recommend shows to people. Have you recommended Stranger Things to many people at your work and stuff like that?
I have been talking about Stranger Things with people from work for a while. It's up there where people are like, oh, I know about that Stranger Things show. There's only a few people in the lab who aren't watching it because they just watch season 1 and like, this isn't for me. And then there's a lot of people who are like, you don't expect them to be into a nerdy, geeky show about, aliens from the 80s or like demons and aliens from the 80s or whatever you want to call it. Like, it is a weird show on paper. But at the same time, because it's such a thriller and has such a big impact, I think it breaks down a lot of barriers between people. So yeah, I get a lot of Stranger Things conversations at work. But because I was so late in seeing it, I was 2 weeks behind watching Stranger Things, probably why the episode's so late. But having, actually, when you're done with it, you get to be part of the conversation. It's quite a lot of fun.
Yeah. For me, it's mainly, I tell people to watch Stranger Things, and most of them, with the exception of people that I know that watch, internet-based stuff weekly, I just usually get, I watched season 1 of Stranger Things, and I never went back. Dude, go back and watch the rest of it. You will not regret it. And that happens across the board. Most of the people I went to uni with, I still talk to on WhatsApp and things. They randomly post up like, oh, I'm bored waiting on my traineeship to start. Anybody got anything good to watch? Watch Stranger Things. Oh yeah, I watched a couple episodes of season 1. It was really good. I'm like, finish it, fucker.
We finally, after we did our episode on The Boys, one of the brothers finally finished it. And the second he finished it, he was like, yes, we got another one.
People should watch Stranger Things, and everyone should watch The Boys. Which I can't say for definite about our next series that we talk about.
the fade off there. I have to boost you. Can you say that again, please?
Fuck. We spoke about Stranger Things, and it's it's positive, it's good. Stranger Things is a really good show. Can't say the same about our next series that we're going to talk about. I don't really want to talk about it because I don't have much positive to say, but fuck it, we're going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah, I figured we should just have it out there just so we can say we've both seen Resident Evil, the Netflix adaptation of whatever the fuck that was. Not a fan. The show's kind of got bad writing issues. I think the key example I point to is during a stealth scene where they're trying to hide from cameras. 2 characters duck behind a pane of glass. Yeah, that shows you the level of problem solving we're dealing with here.
Yeah, you think at that point it's just, they're only children. It doesn't make it any better. But they're exceptionally smart children. The show takes a lot of steps to make sure that you know that they're exceptionally smart children.
And I spent ages. My brother watched it and he was saying that he really enjoyed it. And I said, okay, well, he really enjoyed it. You really didn't like it. It wasn't even that you're picking up on Resident Evil things because you're the Resident Evil fan, Resident Evil fan, and you were just saying this show is dumb. I'm like, okay, interesting. What's going on here?
It's right. I'll preface it by saying that Resident Evil has always been quite cheesy, right? It's always been a bit kind of.
It's been silly.
It doesn't take itself. Yeah, it's been silly. It doesn't take itself completely seriously in all aspects. When you're fighting monsters and you're looking through labs and things like that, it takes itself a bit seriously. But when the dialogue itself has always been a wee bit cheesy. Like, for example, Resident Evil 1, there's a puzzle or there's a trap room where if you take the shotgun, the roof starts sort of closing down on you. So to solve the puzzle, you have to go and get a broken shotgun and replace it, get a sort of exact weight, exact height type of thing to replace it with. If you're playing as Chris anyway, or if you're playing as Jill, you can just wait for Barry to come and save you. Barry shoots the lock on the door and then you run out, which I don't get why Jill couldn't just shoot the lock as well. She has guns, doesn't fucking matter. But Barry pulls you out of the room and says, a couple seconds later, you would have fit nicely into a Jill sandwich.
I was gonna throw the Jill sandwich line out there, but knowing the full context of it, that line just came a bit 20 times dumber.
Yeah, that is the Jill sandwich line. That's the kind of level of cheesy dialogue we're talking about. So Resident Evil on Netflix didn't have to take itself that seriously. It had to take certain aspects of itself seriously, but it didn't have to be, uber serious all the time. But Netflix's Resident Evil, or the NRE as people are calling it, tries to take itself very seriously and suffers heavily for it. Especially with Albert Wesker, who's the main character. Every interaction with him is just very, very serious.
His scenes though, Lance Reddick is carrying this fucking show.
Oh yeah, all three Lance Reddicks are carrying this goddamn show.
Spoilers for Resident Evil, but you shouldn't watch it.
No, you shouldn't watch it. But
you're better than that.
I will say this: it doesn't do anything right. I'll say, but it doesn't get anything completely fucking wrong. It doesn't get anything completely, utterly 100% wrong. It's shot well. Some of the scenes look good. Some of the monsters look good. Some of the monsters I'm talking about, the Resident Evil reference monsters, they do look kind of good. The zombies do look kind of stupid. They just look like humans covered in pancake batter with bubbles all over them. They don't look great. The Tyrant just looks like someone who's a bit taller, a bit skinnier, and he has weird witch nails on one of his hands.
There was a Tyrant?
Yeah, that was a Tyrant.
I did not see that.
The Tyrant that's meant to be this 8-foot tall juggernaut of death with a massive exposed lung and, machetes for fingers. It's just a guy, but 6-foot tall guy with a exposed bone on his left hand.
I'm looking up for it just now, and it's showing me Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, so that's not great.
Yeah.
I don't see anything on there from the Resident Evil stuff, or for the Netflix series. Was that the guy who was in the tank?
Yeah, that was the guy in the tank.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't realise that was the Tyrant at all. Because I expected
a Tyrant. I think it was meant to be the Tyrant from Resident Evil 1, the game, or at least allude to him. But given how far after the games this took place, he wouldn't even still be alive. That Tyrant would have been blown up by Chris and Jill. Because the weird thing that this film does is that it takes place after the games. So all the games and shit have happened. They're canon in the universe, but it takes a kind of weird alternate path. So in this universe, you still had the Arklay Mansion incident, which they reference. Albert Wesker's lab is in the Arklay Mountains, and you find Bert, Albert, and Al, along with Blade Wesker, or Wesker Prime as I call him.
Yeah, that's clearly the one in charge.
Yeah, the Wesker that's in charge, and it just looks so bad to me. The midnight costume on Lance Reddick, it just looks weird.
It's you say it does nothing horribly wrong. My initial the thing that kind of pissed me off was the break-in scene into one of the labs. The idea
that was far too easy.
The idea that two kids can sneak in with an MP3 of their dad saying "Hello, it's me," and that would be enough to get past the security systems of a multinational virus lab, owned by one of the world's biggest corporations, and the idea that there's no staff on site at all overnight for a facility like that, I think that might be illegal, but okay.
What I will say is that is technically a game reference.
Really?
In Resident Evil 3 Remake, when you're playing as Carlos going through the hospital trying to get the vaccine for Jill, you take a recording of a doctor that used to work for Umbrella and sample it through a tape recorder and play it through a speaker, and that's how you get into his office. So
okay, I thought you meant like
have...
the empty facility. I was like, that just seems like, I thought it was a cheap kind of thing. I was like, okay, how do we not pay for extras on this show?
No, that was kind of a game reference, but wasn't well done, I'd say.
That, and obviously I joked about the scene of them crawling through the house. I also thought there's a weird mutant zombie they show in the footage from, I want to say, Raccoon City, when they show like Wesker Prime going through and dealing with various zombies as part of the team. I don't think it's a STARS team. I think it's just like an Umbrella private military team that is leading through the ruins, and they find this weird zombie that looks like a mushroom. It's all covered.
Looks like a mushroom.
Yeah, it's on like the small film, like the small grainy film footage, which looks actually really good. I thought.
No, that is Lisa Trevor, and she's from the games as well.
Right, because I saw that.
They hit her with an early version of the T virus, and it makes her invincible. So they just think, well, what else can we test on her? And they just test all manner of shit.
Well, I like that. I like that shot. But just seeing that weird like the weird makeup to like pancake batter and weird glowing eyes, like
yeah. And the weird thing is, that's actually better looking than the one they have in Welcome to Raccoon City. Because the one in Welcome to Raccoon City just looks like they put a very obvious mask on a random woman and told her a hunch.
Welcome to Raccoon City is now, I've heard about it named between you and a couple different podcasts like 3 or 4 times, and no one has anything good to say about it, and now I'm morbidly curious.
So was I. It is awful. It is absolutely awful. Leon is the comic relief, which I don't agree with that. Chris and Claire Redfield are the only 2 people that can do anything. Wesker is some kind of bumbling idiot. I don't know if you've played Resident Evil 2, but there's a character in there called Brian Irons, who's the police chief. And he's just some kind of, well, what are you going to do? Kind of shrug his shoulders type character.
Zombies invading, we're all dead. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Who cares? I'm taking off home. This doesn't concern me.
I'm taking my retirement early. No.
Yeah.
Buddy, it is not the time for that. Grab a gun, shoot something. You're a cop. It's what you do.
Yeah, and in Welcome to Raccoon City, there's no reference to stars. There's no reference to Umbrella, really. There's a lot of Umbrella symbolism, but they never really expressly point to Umbrella. Maybe they did. They just blocked it all out. The zombies look crappy. They introduced William Birkin, who's the main antagonist from Resident Evil 2, and he just looks like, well, for most of his mutation, he just looks like a regular guy with a weird prosthetic. Then when he mutates, he looks like a bag of worms with a face. It's not been I suppose I can put a point on this by saying it's not been a good year or a couple of years for Resident Evil adaptations, because Infinite Darkness wasn't good. Welcome to Raccoon City was terrible. And Resident Evil was just kind of meh. It wasn't totally awful, but it wasn't great either. It flashing between young and old Billy and Jade didn't help it, because you go from this weird high school twee drama where they're worried about people liking them, people fitting in, they've had to move schools and stuff like that, and then Billy's a bit weird and she keeps getting bullied and stuff, and Jade's an asshole. Like, young Jade is a complete asshole.
Yeah.
Then it flashes to the future where older Jade, who is still some kind of scientist trying to find a cure, is working with a group called the University, who are not in the games. This is some new bullshit invention that is being chased by Umbrella, and their new Ninja Turtle version of the Umbrella Security Service, which, like, go back to the biker helmets and the gas masks. They at least look cool. They don't look like weird Doctor Who villains.
Yeah, I also looked at those as like, it looks like ODSTs from the Halo franchise, just without. Why did they not have gloves? That's what I know. They operate guns, but I would make guns without like finger guards, so they could have like gloves to avoid being
or
bit by
have
zombies.
extended trigger guards so they could fit the glove finger.
Yeah.
It didn't stop the UBCS, the Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service, and they were led by, dudes with a gas mask and leather gloves on.
Yeah, I just
They didn't have
anything.
weird techno rifles.
It so stands out that it's like a fully armored guy ready to kick ass, take names, also has tiny hands. What?
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
He's not even the worst member of Umbrella. That guy that's wanting to get back to his fucking Pomeranians that turns out to be a licensed badass.
Oh, that guy! What is his fucking name? Just
Higgins or Miller or something like that.
McFuckface.
Yeah, Ballbag McBallstein.
Yeah. Not a fan of that guy. You could just fuck off. Most of the cast. I have Richard Baxter down as a name here.
That?
No, that's the name of the character.
Oh, Baxter.
Yeah,
Baxter sounds about right.
Just no.
Yeah.
You can have him be the fat comedic relief, or you can have him be an action star. He can't do both. He's not convincing at both. And one thing you talked about there that I wrote bringing back is they keep splitting between timelines. And this is supposed to be a big reveal of, it turns out that, these characters are this character and this is what's going on and this is how it ties into the future. I would much rather they take all the stuff from early on, put that as like the first half of the show, and you have them like growing up as kids and discovering the mystery of what Dad does, end that very quickly, and then jump to the future stuff. I think that would have been a lot better show. And then you can kind of come back for a couple bits and pieces of flashback to show what happened towards the end. But other than that, like, it should have been two separate bits, because the show never, like, almost never builds tension in any way that matters whatsoever.
No, and it also doesn't do a good job of solidifying its game references, because it has Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, who shows up for 5 minutes, goes, "Ooh, I'm scary Chainsaw Man," is eaten immediately.
It's not even that. It's just that he shows up, kills one person, not even a zombie, not even a protagonist, says the word another, then fucks off. In Resident Evil 4, the Chainsaw Man is a guy. His original name is just Chainsaw Man, but in translations, his name is shown to be Dr. Salvador.
Right.
And there's other chainsaw people called the Bella Sisters. Two women with chainsaws. They're genuinely threatening enemies. When they show up, you realise, oh shit, all I have is a shotgun and a pistol, and I'm low on ammo on both. How the fuck am I going to fight this thing? And they can one-hit kill you. They are a genuine threat. There was nothing, and I mean nothing fucking threatening about the Chainsaw Man from NRE. It just looked like a dude with a fucking burlap bag on his head. It was absolutely bollocks. And quite frankly, the only video game related reference that I did kind of like was the liquor, because the liquor looked and sounded like they do in RE2. But it's dealt with so fucking quickly. You're like, oh, Rich, is that all we're getting?
It's like a brief cameo in an episode that also happens to have a spider in it, so everyone freaks out about the spider and nobody pays attention to the like pack of liquors. Like,
it's just one liquor.
Is it just one? Interesting. I thought it was more than one.
No, it's literally just one that shows up. It shows up to scare the shit out of Jade, and then it just fucks off.
Well, that's a shame. Because I was under the impression that, like, I like the idea that the certain type of zombies, like especially the special ones, have certain traits, and the idea of the lickers being ambush predators, like a pack of them would wait in a tunnel, and then just like when something walks by, just bang.
The lickers are like sort of solitary hunters.
Ah, right.
They're introduced as kind of almost mini tyrants, because they're very strong, very fast. They're kind of weak in the sense because they're basically just humans, like stretched and extended, but their speed and strength is heightened beyond belief. But you can take them out pretty easily if a few well placed shotgun shells. But yeah, the one showing up against Jade, you're thinking, all right, she's going to lean into the fact that they can't hear very well. She's going to be quiet, and she's going to work. No, she tries to shoot it immediately. It was, motherfucker, did you guys play any fucking games? And there's so many times I said, have you guys played any of the games watching this series?
I wonder if it's just about like them not understanding a basic horror trope of like, hey, when something isn't like actively like running after you, you just don't make noise. You don't draw attention. You just kind of try to move away quietly. Other than that, I just wanted to bring up the show because I think it's very good. I think it's unreal that this is the new big hit Resident Evil that is just going to be paraded out as being like, oh, this is the new great video game adaptation. I'm like, there's like 2 good actors in it, and the rest of it is there's not even that many big action scenes, and
No,
even if there are, they're bad.
Yeah, there's a surprising lack of action scenes. The one big action scene we got is what's his name? Did you say it was Baxter? Was his name?
Baxter, yeah. Richard Baxter.
He gets the biggest action scene, and it's him just cutting through, shooting and stabbing, and dancing his way through the zombies in France. And then the next biggest action scene after that is when they released the alligator.
Actually, I was going to say before that, the drone shots of the shots of like the horde coming over the mountain are pretty funny. But then, see if you look at the shots of like the wide establishing shots, and then where the zombies are actually coming from in relation to characters, they don't match at all. There's a shot where a couple people are fleeing from the zombie attack onto the boat for the institution, and the zombies are being drawn to a pheromone that's been developed in the lab. They are running past the humans because they're more attracted by the pheromone, which is like, okay, that's fine. It's part of this world's canon. Whatever, don't care. It's been drawn towards the central characters of Billy, Jade, and then Evelyn Marcus, who now is a robot, I guess, or is a cyborg of some kind.
She has some weird bullshit going on in her head.
Yeah, but they have that central like core cast of people like just mowing down zombies with a team of the USS guys, the Umbrella's Secret Service, and those guys get ripped apart pretty easily. But because Evelyn Marcus, because Billy Wesker has drones, she can wipe them all out. And like, why do you just have 3? Get 10 of these, fire your fucking security team, and just walk around with drones all day. What the fuck is this? Hire more drone chargers. That's all you really need.
Fuck, I just remembered one part of the series that I wanted to talk about because it pissed me off more than anything.
Well, really quick, just during that scene where they're having drone attacks, there is the worst group fall I've ever seen in my entire life. Watch the drone attack, and then there's like a wide shot where they just show a group of zombies all fall to their knees and then forward on the ground at the same time. But the drones in the video are strafing them, so they're going from like one end to the other. Why didn't they stagger it? Why does everyone fall at the exact same time? It's fucking bullshit. They're firing machine guns. It should start at the front. First row of people fall, then the next row fall like a half second after them, and you kind of have like a domino effect of them all falling. But if you watch it, they all fall to their knees and then on their face at the exact same time. I thought I was tripping when I saw it. I went back and rewatched it. I'm like, this is crap. Whoever did this, do it again.
In fact, that's for so much of the series. I'd say go back and do it again because I had to bring up a list of Easter eggs just because I wanted them to, be fresh in my head here. But you can throw in as many references to the Gravedigger from RE3 that doesn't even look like the Gravedigger from RE3. It's just like a big caterpillar. You can throw in as many typewriters, as many triple barrel shotguns as you want. If the story itself isn't good and you're trying to prop it up on these references, and if one of those references is a piece of shit character that you don't fucking like saying one of the most iconic lines from the series, you're fucking doing something wrong. Because the Baxter guy, when he's in prison with Jade, says, "Oh, you can just call me the master of unlocking." At that point, I almost switched it off. Don't you fucking dare stand where she stood. How dare you?
The triple barrel shotgun was the only thing I thought was handled right. Where it's just kind of like,
it was too weak. You didn't hold it right.
Well, it's more to do with just the fact that there was just a guy holding a triple barrel shotgun and nobody talks about it. It's just a thing he has. It's a bit flashy. It's a bit silly, but nobody brings it up. It's just kind of there. That was the best they could do.
Yeah, for me, if you're going to do that, it needs to be wielded by Albert Wesker or Chris Redfield, and they need to hold it like they would just a pistol, one-handed and just looking badass as they're shooting. And it needs to destroy everything in its path. So it's probably unfilmable if you want to do that right.
I don't know. I think you get the right VFX budget in there and you just remove the top of half a bunch of zombies and then have them all fall down. That'd work.
Yeah.
I'd say good scene though. If I'm going to say something nice, and I should say something nice, zombie in the bathroom. it's a bit silly that she's wearing cardboard armor when she's a trained, like, she knows what zombies can do. It's a bit silly, but at the same time, like, okay, just let it pass. It's just there for a bit of kind of comedic relief. That was
for me. It was the annoyance of that scene came from the fact that they alluded to Barry Burton and just did nothing with it.
Yeah.
I was like, are they going to have Barry in this? Is he going to be the kind of old wizened guy that's saying, I remember Raccoon City, you know, if you need me back in the fight, I'll join the fight. I was like, okay, cool. No, he's just some old guy.
Just some guy.
Fucking bathtub.
Yeah. I'd say that scene, like, for all the good side of that Jade has with that scene, where it's kind of funny and kind of silly and it felt a bit kind of like Shaun of the Dead. But then to have Richard Baxter go in afterwards and just have it be the worst scene ever. Like, that old woman being like, no, don't look, like, she's constantly glancing at the bathroom and being like, don't look at the bathroom. You can't use the bathroom. No, don't ask me to use the bathroom. I can't let you do that. And for him to just be like, as if he's supposed to be like an investigator for Umbrella to hunt down leads. I'm sorry, you do that. You're immediately in handcuffs. I'm going into your bathroom. What the fuck have you done?
Yeah. Just, I mean, it would have been weirder if you just went, yeah, sure, leave it, and walked away. You're meant to be an Umbrella intelligence.
Yeah,
I'm getting your badge and your gun, so you're clearly failing at your job.
So yeah, I mean, I'd say cool concepts, like some good ideas. Like, I like the fact that there are zombie exclusion zones, and there are different areas where it's kind of become a warlord situation of like, this group, this conglomerate controls this part of the world, and then this part, because there's just a map earlier on in the show where they just show you like, this part's under control of the Umbrella Corporation, and there's like a group in Africa, and then like Europe's just fucked.
Yeah.
And then like there's a group in China, and then like there's a couple bits and pieces in America where it's like, okay, this is an available state, like this is a survivable group of people. Everything else is just like, that's cool. I like that idea. It's a bit too Mad Max, like the idea that like everything just went straight to Mad Maxville within 10 years of the zombie apocalypse.
For me, that was actually a massive problem in the series. It was also the same problem for the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evils. They went straight to post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
The whole point of the Resident Evil series is these things keep happening, but there's a team of experienced people with a government willing to help them that quell these uprisings, that quell these outbreaks. The fact that these people have just went, fuck it. We stopped it so many times, let's just let it happen.
Yeah. Like the idea that there is like there are organizations like the UN develops like teams or whatever to go out and hunt down and shut down biolabs that might be trying to work on the new zombie virus. So like, okay, that's a thing that would happen. But the idea that it just went straight to, I don't know what we do anymore, just fuck it. Yeah,
like the fact that the BS, if you were going for a universe where that happened, like if you're going for a universe where the Resident Evil games happened and now you're in a post-apocalypse after that, there's the BSAA, which are literally a task force designed to stop zombie outbreaks. You've got other groups like there's, what the fuck are they called? There's TerraSave, which are literally an organization built to help towns destroyed by bioterrorist outbreaks. So there's reasons for, or there's plenty of organizations out there that would stop the outbreak. The fact that they're just non-existent in this series, it's just glossing over a lot of things.
Yeah. And you miss out on a lot of interesting characters there and stuff that other characters can go do. Like, you can take characters who survive season 1, come back in season 2 having joined agencies and groups and people who have the right idea of how to handle these type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I've sat and poked and prodded at stuff like this. I think I sent the text to you about the scene towards the end where there's the little girl who mysteriously gets a boat off a ship crawling with armed guards.
Yeah.
What? There's no explanation.
I was so burnt out at that stage, I just let it go. I was like, yeah, it's dumb, but I don't care anymore. I've got one episode left of this shit.
I just want it to be over. And then, for some reason, a giant reptile treats her like it's the family dog.
Yeah.
And a character calls out and says, what the fuck happened there? How did the giant alligator not attack her? And before she can answer, she just shoots her in the face. Or shoots her in the stomach. And I'm like, get the answer to that. What the fuck?
Yeah, find out what's happened.
Why is that child so special? It might be important later down the road.
Yeah.
And
but you
somehow,
can tell it was just the fucking pheromones or some crap like that.
and somehow, there will be a later down the road for the show. I think they've already ordered season 2.
I was actually reading an article that said that it might just be a one season and done thing due to the reaction from it, but apparently it was watched enough to warrant a season 2.
Well, thank you to the production company Amalgamated Nonsense for Resident Evil by Netflix. I'm not joking. That's the fucking name of the show. That's the name of the company that made it.
They actually called Amalgamated Nonsense.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
I wonder if this has... There was a recent Netflix adaptation of something that really sucked as well. It happens a lot these days, kids. I'm not going to lie. It gets kind of confusing to try and keep track of all of them. But I wonder if there's any crossover between writers of that show and this show. Because it seems like it's got the same kind of like brain damage approach to television.
What, are you talking about Cowboy Bebop?
Yes. I want to see if it's the same company.
It probably was. Although, from what I've been told, they're already working on Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, I saw that one as well. Just fuck.
Which is not going to go down well because I don't know what Yu Yu Hakusho is, apart from that it's one of those old classic 90s animes that everybody liked.
It's up there again, like it's on most people's like this was my favourite thing of all time as a kid. Please don't touch this, it's my childhood.
Yeah.
And Netflix being like, no, don't worry, we'll trust us with the adaptations. No, we can't. We can't trust you with this stuff. You keep fucking it up.
Yeah, like fool me once. Shame on me, fool me twice. Shame
Actually, we should probably point out that before this episode started, you and I were just ranting about the fact that this keeps happening where people like Netflix, Amazon, whatever, they keep taking classic things from our childhood or like things we grew up with and saying, it's time for a modern adaptation. At which point everybody goes, oh shit. And they say, no, just trust us. We're going to stay true to the source material. We're going to be faithful to the fans. We're going to give them what they want. And then it comes out, it sucks. And they say, well, you're not supposed to take it seriously. No.
Yeah, or they say, oh, you're clearly this, like because you didn't like our progressive view of... take, for example, what's in the zeitgeist. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. If you don't like that, I guarantee people are just going to say, oh, well, you're clearly a fucking narc, or you're,
so somebody's
a racist, or you're some kind of xenophobe.
Your thing sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You can't just say things like, oh, I didn't like that. You're like, well, you're racist. Like, no, it was nothing to do with the race. It was to do with the fact that the writers have a hole in their brain.
Yeah, I'm looking through details to see if there's any recurring producers or writers or whatever, and I don't see much in terms of Resident Evil and Cowboy Bebop, which actually is weird because executive producers for the Netflix version of Cowboy Bebop, there are a ton of them, but the Resident Evil series...
watched the original show.
Yeah. And somehow they didn't. There's only like about 4 or 5 executive producers for this show, and I don't see any crossover, but I'd be taking this off my resume, if I'm honest. I'd take both shows off my resume. Yeah, I don't see any like crossover between the executive producers or anything like that. So I guess it's just Netflix has bad writers these days, which is odd. Because again, like Netflix is part of, mostly due to Stranger Things and House of Cards and shows like that, and they've been a big part of pushing television to where it is now, where the assumption is movies can be great, the standout ones are great, but overall it's just kind of the same blockbuster noise that's been running rampant for the last 10 years, but television has stepped up its game. Now television's starting to get to the point where there's not a lot of new ideas out there, so they're just grabbing whatever they can get their hands on and saying, oh, it's a modern retelling of blah,
Yeah, and they're doing that with fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like they'll take... there was a series that was coming out, I can't remember what the hell it was called, but it was, the whole crux of the thing was, oh yeah, that happened, but we're just going a different route from that. We're taking it in a different direction. And it was something... I don't think it was Resident Evil. Can't remember what it was. Doesn't fucking matter. But I do agree with you that is becoming the norm. Like, oh yeah, we're doing a new version of something. Don't worry, it's not going to be like the original. We're going to take it in a completely new, completely respectful direction.
It's like, buddy, we wanted if you do a good adaptation of what was on the video game or in the original light novel or the books or the manga or whatever, like, do that and you're fine, because that's what we want. We don't want a new spin on stuff, even if it's just to see something we already knew we were going to love. materialized. It's just, that's that's what we want. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the license to recreate a moment of joy for fans, and weird new idea or these weird new takes that aren't working out. And I don't know how long it takes for whoever's producing the stuff to react to that, or if they react to it at all. Because at a certain point,
sticking with Resident Evil is something that's becoming more and more apparent, that people just want to see things from the games, things from the books, things from the light novels just done in live action.
Yeah.
Because there's moments in Resident Evil 1 where you'd love to see that in live action. This scene or the part with Jill going into the trap room, the part with Chris confronting Wesker for the first time, the part where they fight the tyrant on the roof. You want to see shit like that. And instead of just alluding to it or admitting that it happened and then just brushing past it, talking about Wesker's death in the volcano during Resident Evil 5, it's a one sentence explanation. Just that, the real Wesker died in the volcano. It's like, people want to see the fight between Chris, Sheva, and Wesker on the volcano. People want to see Chris punching the fuck out of Boulder.
It is a cartoon, it is a fucking Acme Boulder moment. It's just, if it showed up on Looney Tunes, you're like, that makes sense. It's one of the funniest moments in gaming. And you're like, nah,
it's avoided out Man Mountain, Chris Redfield punching the shit out of a boulder to save his companion who's about to fall into lava, while Wesker is grunting and shouting "Chris" behind him as he's, throwing around these weird kind of worm tentacle things from his arms. People want to see that shit. People want to see Leon do these cool backflips and, kick a zombie's head off like he does in Resident Evil 4. They don't even fucking, mention Leon in Netflix's Resident Evil, but people want to see these cool moments. And when Netflix or whoever it is just come out and say, we're going to go in a different direction, it can pisses people off, and it makes people almost not want to watch it unless you're like me and there's nothing else to watch.
Or
it just makes you want to turn away.
Or you're me and you're a glutton for punishment. I would not recommend Netflix Resident Evil. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of Resident Evil and you haven't watched it and people say, oh, you're a fan of it, you'd really like it, you wouldn't. The references aren't enough to keep you going, and the story itself is kind of brain dead.
Unless you're Bert. Bert's awesome.
If you say so, man. I wasn't really that fussed about Bert.
I liked having the show devolve to such a bad point where you just didn't care anymore, and then in walks a character who is clearly deranged. And
he's like, clearly, a bit damaged in the head.
He clearly walks in and goes, I want to get waffles. Okay, where's this guy going? And he just starts murdering people.
He did make me laugh, and I got quite annoyed when I did it. He went, these are unlimited breadsticks.
The unlimited breadsticks. It's like, so it's one of the things of I don't know who thought of that and why it's so funny, but it gets you every time. Oh no.
Yeah.
Just the secondhand cringe of being it's not quite a Karen moment, but it's kind of there. It's a bit more unhinged than a Karen moment, or than I would think would qualify, but at the same time, just the secondhand cringe.
I also like the fact that he hasn't eaten proper food in a while, so whatever restaurant they're in, their crappiest item is delicacy to him.
I think, are they not an Olive Garden? I swear it's an Olive Garden, which is notoriously bad
I
pasta.
automatically assumed that Olive Garden was just something that they made up for the show.
No. Olive Garden's a chain restaurant in the United States, and I'm pretty sure it's notoriously bad.
Okay. I have no idea what that is.
There was a brag they did once, and I remember it was from an old clip of The Daily Show, and it was them saying, we've been using the same pots and pans for over 35 years. And John Stewart comes in and goes, yeah, because you don't fucking season anything. You just have boiling water and pasta in there. Of course, nothing damages or rusts or degrades over time. You don't put any fucking food in there. Speaking of the art of adaptation, I guess I'll real quickly a bit just a silly romance comedy, not comedy, but it's a series I've been interested in for a while. It's called 5 centimeters per second. It starts as a movie by Makoto Shinkai, who I'm a big fan of. He's a Japanese anime director. He likes to deal with a lot of romance, but tied to a supernatural twist. So in this, it's all about altering perspectives of different people who have basically had a very close, intimate relationship as kids growing up, but then they drift apart. And it's all about just them at various points of their lives. And it was interesting because I watched the movie ages ago and then came back to it. still good. It's still very kind of resonant, like still kind of you feel a lot of the same stuff the characters are going through. And also, if you're at different points of your life, like different parts will be more relevant. And it wasn't until just like randomly I picked up the manga ages ago, and then immediately kind of put it to the side because I have a bad habit of just buying stuff to have it and then leaving it on the to be read pile. Like there's still large chunks of Berserk in there. There's still like whole series of Junji Ito novels and stuff, but I just added that to the to be read pile and just kind of left it as is. Went through and read that, and it changes some of the context because with it being a manga, it doesn't really have to be fully animated, or it doesn't have to be animated at all because it's just like comic book panels. And it changes a bunch of stuff and changes like your view of one of the characters. So that's interesting that it would go back and change my perspective like that. So I went back and watched the movie again to double check to make sure I hadn't missed anything. And I was like, oh man, I totally feel different from the character, the guy character who has like he's the one who's kind of hung up on the girl from the past, and just the way he handles like one of the events in the book is that at one point he just says in the movie, it's towards the end. It's when he's an older. He's in his like early 20s. He's like, yeah, I broke up with the girl who was dating for the last 3 years and just didn't really feel like I was connected to her. And watching it go through the story in the manga is one of those heartbreaking, like horrible breakups I've ever seen in my entire life. He basically just kind of ditches her when she says, "Oh, you should meet my parents." And it's like, no, I don't feel like doing that. And he disappears for like 3 weeks. You're like, okay, dick move. She finally shows up at his work to be like, hey, we need to talk about this. Like, what's going on with us? Are we still in a relationship? And he just like says, I can't really talk about it. So they're sitting on like a subway, like just on like a train car. And rather than actually talk through his feelings and emotions, he's like, I can't do this. I can't talk to you about this. Can I text you? And it's a man and a woman sitting next to each other, texting about how they're breaking up and they're moving apart as people. Like, it's fucking painful. It's so bad. And then, they have like this the scene of like just kind of saying, okay, maybe we can work this out. Just can we go to this place and we can explain more? Like maybe if I show you where I grew up, it maybe they get to like step off the train. He has a mild panic attack about being back to where he was a kid and where all this happened and set him off. And he leaves her on the platform when the train just drives away. Like, what the fuck?
That's harsh as fuck.
It's so brutal, and like they try to like patch things back together. He comes back to they kind of meet back later that same night, and he's like, "I'm so sorry." And it's like, I don't think sorry cuts this one, bro. He fucked up. And it totally changes the color of the experience. But it's interesting that the movie came out first, and then technically the manga is the adaptation because that came afterwards once they had the story fleshed out for the movie. But now I've read there was an extra novel that was written on at the end of it called One More Side, and then that is every time the perspective flips in the movie, you get the alternative perspective of a character in the book. I was like, okay, that'll be interesting. And then the final episode, or the final segment where that horrible breakup happens, plays out just the exact same way. But you have, for the alternative character, it's the original girl he was kind of hung up on from way back when, like as a child. She's just happily married. He's thinking maybe I could get her back if I just go over and make some grand romantic gesture. And then she's like, I quite like my husband. I think he's a nice guy. We compliment each other. Oh no. All the drama that we know is going on, all the horrible breakups and stuff, are just being all for nothing. And actually part of the resolution of the movie is that he realises it was never going to work out anyway. And it's kind of like, that's just a weird knack you get with adaptations of like going back and forward with different perspectives. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that before. Do you think of anything that was like the book tells it one way, the movie says another, and then like a comic book tells us a third separate story? I could maybe think like Injustice, that series.
Yeah, I'd say that Injustice. I mean, I can think of things that haven't done it intentionally, but yeah, I'd probably say Injustice is the only one that springs to mind that the game tells it one way, then the book tells it, the comic book tells it a much bigger but quite different way. In the games, they're not popping super pills to fight on par with Superman. In the books, they're just like, oh shit, we need to fight metahumans. Let's pop all these ultra steroids.
Let's get like Krypton roided out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it interesting that, like, depending on what medium you have, like the limit of one. So like a video game has to be open ended, or it has to be kind of it's a fighting game, so you have to have all the kind of various scenarios kind of be loosely tied together. Whereas with this one, obviously the animation budget for the film caused a restriction, and it resulted in this massive change in tone. That's fascinating that happened. But just we were talking about adaptations there from like one media to another. I was like, oh, that reminds me about 5 centimeters per second. I'd recommend it. I don't think people will enjoy it if like you're used to what we normally talk about, which is normally like violence and guns and awesome stuff. But if it's something like, you know what, I could do with a rom-com, you could throw that on, and it's interesting. And it's got a great. One thing I noticed as well is there's a song that plays in the movie called "One More Time, One More Chance." And that plays at like kind of a lot of emotional climax moments, and that actually the lyrics from that song are translated into the book as like one of the final parts of it. I'm like, oh, that immediately set the music off in my head as a fan of the film. That's well played, sir.
And it is kind of hard at any stage to get an adaptation going. So when you do get any kind of adaptation, grab a hold of it. If it's good or bad, stick with it. It might get better, or it might even out. You never know.
Yeah. What you been, other than like watching some of the worst television, some of the best television of the year, what have you been watching? Or doing, or playing?
I went to go, just as I'm kind of scrolling through Twitter here, I see Christian Bale doing the makeup for Gore the God Butcher. I went to go and see Thor Love and Thunder.
All right.
And it did Gore well.
Interesting. Because that was a dodgy point for me. I was like, I'm not sure if they can pull this one up.
They kind of don't. They don't pull off that he's making the God Bomb, because the God Bomb is an Avengers level threat for the MCU. Because in the comics, a Thor could show up and fight Thanos one-on-one. Power scaling is much, much lower in the MCU. But he is just trying to kill all the gods by getting to something called the Well of Eternity, so he can make a wish and banish all gods. But instead of...
I was going to say, is the God Bomb not supposed to be like, it kills all gods across all timelines in all universes at the same time? In all
universes and all multiverses at once.
Yeah.
So it's basically something that only Thanos was told the Infinity Gems could do. He finds a way to do. But instead of having it be the all-black Necrosword that was the weapon of Null, the god of all symbiotes, it's literally just a sword called the Necrosword that is capable of killing gods. Which was that could have been a cool way to introduce symbiotes or have them in the MCU, but I guess Kevin Feige has got some way of bringing in symbiotes another way.
I reckon that'll be because symbiotes are tied to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that fucking Sony license coming back to bite us again.
To me, it would have been cool because we know that Venom's going to be in the MCU at some point. Venom is going to, the black suit's going to, take over Spidey. That is coming because of what happens at the end of No Way Home. But to me, it would have just been nice if you say, oh, symbiotes do exist in this universe. Here's one. Because the All Black Necrosword takes over Gore, and that's what, the symbiote madness, because it's from the god of all symbiotes, hits him quicker.
Yeah.
So, the lunacy and the, madness kind of takes him over a bit quicker. But I can understand why they did it. It's like, oh, it's just a Necrosword. It's a weapon capable of killing gods, and it summons, all these weird dark creatures that kind of look like symbiotes anyway.
But for legal reasons, are not.
Yeah, legally distinct from symbiotes.
Yeah.
But they do some weird things in this film, that being one of them to me. And another weird one for me was Zeus. Zeus is as powerful as Odin in the comics, but in this one he's kind of he's got the very weird accent when Thor comes to the Hall of Gods, or what's it they call it? It's like Omnipotency or Omnipotent City or something like that they call it.
Yeah,
it's some weird name like that.
Just smash the words omnipotent and city together and just
omnipotent city.
Yeah.
He talks to Thor. Thor talks to Zeus. It's like, we need a weapon. We need an army capable of killing Thor or capable of killing Gore. Otherwise, all the dogs kicking off in the background, man. Otherwise, Gore is going to wipe us all out. And can pack it in, you little bastard. Jesus Christ, 15 years old and you're still causing me all this trouble. Oh shit. Don't cut that out, goddammit. People need to know that I have a 15-year-old bastard of a dog kicking off and throwing things about. I need an army, I need a weapon capable of fighting gore, otherwise we're all dead. And Zeus was like, hey, chill out, man, stay here, have a glass of wine, have some grapes. Just chill out, we're gods, we don't need to worry about it. And I'm just sitting there thinking, this is kind of, I get this Russell Crowe and the guy's a fucking genius actor, but this is getting kind of racist.
It's like he can't do Borat.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like he's trying to do Borat, but not succeeding in any way, shape, or form. And it just comes off as kind of cheesy. The one person whose accent is getting better, I'd say, would be Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, because she's trying to do this kind of High Lord English accent.
Yeah.
But still come off as a drunk scumbag. And she does it pretty well. Her character gets a lot of growth in this one, because she is the de facto leader of New Asgard. And she does really well. Valkyrie kind of proves herself in this one, not just as a warrior, but as a pretty decent character. And the one character that I kind of wish they did more with was Jane Foster's Mighty Thor, because you get the sense that Thor Odinson has now done so much in the MCU that he's kind of up on a plinth. He's just this all-powerful being, and with Jane Foster being able to wield the reconstructed Mjolnir because of an enchantment that Thor put on it by accident, he talks to his hammer. His hammers talk to him as well, so he puts an enchantment on it, saying, no matter what Mjolnir, I need you to protect Jane, and that's what allows Jane to wield Mjolnir. It's kind of cheesy, but it works, right? So when Jane's wielding Mjolnir, she does quite well. She does quite well as the Mighty Thor, but they just kind of reduce her to this kind of, I can do just as good as Thor. And, she tries to do these weird catchphrases. She tries to do all these weird, not weird, she does all these really cool moves with Mjolnir. Like she makes this cool lightning whip out of all the detached pieces of Mjolnir that are attached with a lightning bolt. She's kind of swinging that around. She does this cool, like, sort of missile spam thing where she launches the pieces of Mjolnir.
Right.
Which is pretty cool. I just don't feel like they did a whole hell of a lot with her.
They're just like, yeah, girl boss Thor, what up?
Yeah, kind of. And not them saying when she's not on the screen, she doesn't do well, like, because the whole subplot with her having cancer is prevalent in it, and the fact that she's a human wielding a god's weapon is slowing down her own natural healing. So she's not fighting the cancer using Mjolnir. And they do a real point of driving that home, and Thor's Odinson is just kind of going, I can't live with you if you're using my hammer and it's killing you.
Yeah. Like, for your own good,
they do a good
I
job
will
with
take
that,
this
but
away.
they don't really. I kind of feel like they could have done a bit more with the Mighty Thor, in my opinion, anyway.
But at least it's not, because I'd heard bad things about this movie, and I'm like, I'll probably watch it. I've got Disney Plus now, so if that comes there, I'll watch it. But I'd heard like
It's not a bad film at all.
I guess people are just like,
it's quite funny because Taika Waititi definitely delves into the comedy of Thor, which I think is kind of deliberate. Thor's never really been a funny character to me, especially because I'm reading the God Butcher saga. Thor is definitely not a funny character in that. He's very serious and quite down to earth most times. But there's a bit of comedy and a bit of humour to Thor, because he is quite literally a god fighting humans, fighting mortals. But they obviously play up the comedy with this because the handle for Stormbreaker is taken from an adolescent Groot. The hammer starts acting up. There's a few times where Odinson tries to summon Mjolnir to his hand, and then Stormbreaker just kind of appears like a jealous ex or a jealous girlfriend, just kind of going, "Oh, your hammer's here, dickhead." which was again pretty funny.
That's such a weird thing to bring into the franchise, that because I don't think he's talked to him much.
Not at all, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't
He's
think
never
I
really
remember
spoken to his hammer before.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess I would say like maybe he's lonely, but no, he left with the Guardians of the Galaxy at the end of the last movie. He's been adventuring with people.
Who? Thor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been adventuring, but I think it's just that he's seen Mjolnir's back. So, oh crap, it's my old hammer. I want to use my old hammer again, but Stormbreaker's like, "Aye, you've got me now."
Yeah. What's is there anything for the Guardians of the Galaxy in this film, or is that just skipped over?
Yeah, they're in there, but all the adverts and shit were just see the Mighty Thor fight with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And they're in it for all of about 5 minutes.
Right. Okay. I mean, I suppose with that film franchise at the time this was being made, the whole James Gunn thing was probably kicking off, so they didn't talk much about it. I didn't want to use him too much.
Probably not, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. It's good to know it's actually a good film. Like, because that is...
Yeah, I'd recommend it.
When you hear about it and people know it's just not as good as it used to be, I'm like, is it actually bad, or are we feeling like a bit of franchise fatigue, or... Because it seems kind of popular to just dunk on Marvel now.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of that going about, and from what I've seen, people were just saying, I've heard one camp that's people saying this film should have been all about Thor Odin's son, because he is Thor. Jane Foster should not be Thor. And then there's the other camp saying this film should have been all about the mighty Thor. Odin's son should have died and all that crap. And then there's people like me who just wanted to see a good Marvel film, and they got that. Gore was a good villain. Seeing all the other gods was pretty funny. Zeus with his over the top Eastern European kind of Greek accent was just funny, but bordering on racist. I'd recommend going to see it if you like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, and you've liked other Phase 4 films. I'd say go and see Love and Thunder. You'll find more to like about it than you'll find to hate.
That's good to know.
It's not as fuck awful as people say. It's people that think it's fuck awful are just pissed off that Lady Thor, Lady Thor.
Thor can't have boobs.
Thor can't have boobs.
Well, yeah, did he have boobs in the last one? What are you talking about?
Yeah, he
big
transforms from. Throughout most of the film, when he's not in his armor, he looks like Terry Bogard from King of Fighters. Although I will say, when at the start of the film, when he's got the black armor, he looks exactly like he does in the comics. Because he's got like the kind of weird sort of fur-lined cape thing, and he looks genuinely cool. Then he transforms into that blue and gold piece of shit. Genuinely the worst armor that you've seen Thor wear.
I'll check it out.
Mighty Thor's armor is pretty damn good, but no, the blue and gold armor that he wears at the end, or for the rest of the film, is shit looking.
Yeah, especially when you've shown you a better version of it, like 5 minutes before.
Yeah. When you've shown you probably the best looking armor that you've seen, the most accurate looking armor that you've seen for most of it, then he just goes to this kind of horrible looking armor. Nah, didn't like it. Still a great film. Heartily recommend going to see it, or wait till it comes out on Disney Plus and watch it there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I just don't have the time or the money to go out and just watch films at this point. I may have blown my my allowance on stuff on Steam for no reason.
Yeah. The minute someone says Steam sales, I'm like, yeah. I don't blame you.
I know what that means. It might be the worst version of it, because at least with the physical media, I actually get something that I can at least maybe trade back or do something with. But with Steam, I'm just kind of like, I'll buy it, add it to the list, I'll get to it eventually. I mean, I've had Stray there for a week, and I've just been staring at the icon, being like, I'll play it.
I'll get to it.
I'll get to it, maybe. I don't know. I have a couple of days off. I'll force myself to play it over the next couple of days. I must go through it and just play it, because it's only like 5 hours. But I bought it, I paid for it. It can't be another Steam summer sale casually.
Yeah. There's so many games on Steam that are like that for me. It's just, I bought it, I'll get around to it. I probably never will. There's other games that show up.
Yeah, it's people who say, I subscribe to the Epic Games game launcher as well, because they give you a free game every month. And I'm like, but you don't play Steam games enough to justify a Steam account. Like, what do you mean? Oh, I just like to have them. I just like to have them on my archive. You're like, no, this is this is hoarding, but for digital content.
Yeah. But everyone does that, man.
True.
We all download games, and then we get, or in my case, we all buy games like Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm playing through that a bit, but I always kind of find myself putting Xenoblade down and going to play Multiverses. The new, it's not a Smash clone, but it's a Smash-like game from Warner Brothers.
All right,
so the cast is all Warner Brothers characters.
You mentioned this to me earlier. It'd be the whole thing of like, wait, multiverses as opposed as like a multiverse of madness. I was like, no, wait, multiverses. Okay, right, got you.
Yeah, and like I said, it's all Warner Brothers characters. So you'll have characters like Wonder Woman, Superman, fighting off against the Iron Giant, and Steven Universe from the program Steven Universe, and Tom and Jerry and Bugs Bunny and shit like that. Never in my life would I say to myself, yes, I kicked the hell out of that Bugs Bunny and Iron Giant team as Batman, and the person on my team was Wonder Woman. Never in my life would I thought I'd utter the sentence, Shaggy is kind of like the Ryu of this game.
That's okay. So the idea is basically the Smashverse is that all the Nintendo characters go to a magical world and punch the shit out of each other. Yeah. Same idea basically for this Warner Brothers thing.
Same idea, but the controls are a bit different, and there's no sort of final smashes. It's all just build up enough damage and get the knockout type of thing. And it's all based. They recommend that you go on teams. So they recommend that if you're just starting, go to team play.
So no smashes. Is this just like a straight fighting game? Because with Smash Bros and stuff like that, they have like the platform level design where it's you could you basically have to knock the opponent off rather than just knock the health bar down. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a platform fighter.
Right. Okay.
You build up enough damage and you can basically spike them off the edge, or if you're good enough for your character, you can just drive them down in the dirt.
Okay. I might check out footage of this because it sounds quite silly but fun at the same time.
Oh yeah, it is completely. It is just stupid dumb fun. Like for example, it's no surprise I play Batman, and I don't want to toot my own horn because I probably will be beaten several times in this game later. But I am not bad at this game, and my main character is Batman. You'll see that on if you ever look at my levels for all the characters, because you can level them up and you get perks and things like that for the character. Mm-hmm. Most of my characters are at level. Some of them are at level 1, some of them are at level 2, a couple level 5s in there. Before I unlocked Batman, I played about with Wonder Woman, and I played about with another character called Garnet, who's from Steven Universe. But my highest leveled character is Batman at level 13. And it's a lot of fun. And I think what helps it be just a really good game is the fact that it's implemented something called rollback netcode, which just makes it buttery smooth to play.
I was going to ask, what's the multiplayer experience if you're playing as a team game? I assume there's no couch co-op.
There is couch co-op, but the online is genuinely a saving grace in this, because I'm playing with a lot of people from the US, and there's a couple of people from Spain that I played with just through lobbies and matchups and stuff, and there was no lag whatsoever. It was great.
That's good.
Even with my shitty internet.
Even with the Warner Brothers money behind it, you would assume that servers would be just kind of mediocre for.
No, despite the fact that this is a free-to-play game, which is another just fucking hell, what are they doing here? The servers are solid. Warner Brothers definitely put some money into this, because every character that shows up is voiced by the original actor.
Oh.
With the exception of LeBron James. They got in a voice alike for LeBron James.
Wait, LeBron's in this?
Yep, LeBron James is in Multiverses.
Oh.
All of his attacks are basketball-based.
Please tell me Michael Jordan was coming in a patch.
He might be a downloadable character later on.
I just want him to be better than LeBron James, just to piss off basketball fans.
Maybe.
Because LeBron is a specimen of an athlete, and is probably prime LeBron versus prime Michael Jordan. It'd be a fun match to watch, but at the same time, you would kind of naturally give the edge to LeBron. But at the same time, you just kind of wonder, if you could do it just as a troll.
I mean, I would have fun throwing batarangs at them as Batman. It would be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, they're adding in a whole lot more characters. From a leak that I've seen, well, in fact, it's not a leak. They've confirmed that Rick and Morty are going to be in the game.
Yeah,
as a kind of one character. Samurai Jack is meant to be in the game. Personally, I want one of the Ed boys from Ed, Edd n Eddy. I want Big Ed in the game because he'd just be, chaos incarnate. And Rolf, fuck it, why not Rolf?
I'm looking at the characters. Arya Stark is in there. Batman,
yeah, she's a weird one.
Finn the Human, Garnet, Harley Quinn, Jake the Dog, Rain Dog. Don't know that one. Shaggy.
Yeah, he's an original character.
Just for this game.
Yeah, the people that made the game made Rain Dog.
Interesting. Steven Universe, Superman, naturally. Tom and Jerry as a single character, Wonder Woman, and bigger roster here. Is Slimer in there?
Slimer?
Or is that a wish list? Oh, it's a wish list. Yep, sorry.
That'll be a wish list, yeah. But there probably will be a Ghostbuster in there somewhere.
Someone who was in this put JoJo characters in there from like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like, no,
Yeah,
no,
nah.
buddy, your wish list is stupid. Please.
Yeah, no one wants that as much as you do.
The model for Arya Stark weirdly fits next to the model for Bugs Bunny, and I'm kind of impressed, but kind of horrified at what that looks like.
Yeah, the art style looks really, really good. You can tell that they've went for a definite cartoony art style, and Arya Stark sticks out a bit like a sore thumb.
Not going to complain though. I mean, it does look funny.
Yeah, it's a really. I was surprised how much fun I had with this game. And when you go into the training mode, all the characters are unlocked, so you can play them, as and when, just testing out different characters.
That's a nice touch.
Superman himself is a pretty fun character, but you don't feel good playing as Superman. You're like, these are just regular humans, man.
You're a god amongst men, wailing on the smallest of men.
Yeah.
You're beating up a cat.
So far, obviously Batman's my main character, but I played a bit of Velma.
Right.
And the amount of damage that I was able to rack up as Velma is ridiculous. You're a detective, and I'm doing off the ground combos and stuff with you. I'm, doing OTGs, bouncing down into wall spikes and things like that. I shouldn't be able to do this with fucking Velma. Then you've got Shaggy, who's doing. He has, because he's the meme version of Shaggy, he can charge up his Super Saiyan aura. And then he goes into a kind of weird Ultra Instinct Super Saiyan form, and that powers up his attacks, and he can throw sandwich fireballs.
There's been the running meme of the idea that Shaggy is one of those powerful things in the universe, that he's only been using like 0.1% of his power or something like that.
Yeah.
Or then the running gag of, you think my power can be measured by percentage?
Yeah. Oh, they tap into that. They lean into that hard.
That's fucking awesome.
And he's actually a really good character. When I say that he's the Ryu of the game, he's easy to use. He has a fireball. He has an uppercut, and he has a hurricane kick.
What platform is this on, in case anyone wants to check it out?
It is on. I think it's coming to Switch, and it's currently an open beta on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and Series S.
Oh, that's good.
And it's free to play.
Well, I'm curious. What is the monetization like? I assume there's skins.
Yeah, there's skins that you can buy, but you can earn them. You can earn in-game gold by playing the game, and that's what you can use to get costumes and things like that.
Interesting.
Or you can pay premium. You can get something called Galemium, which is their kind of premium money.
Of all the dumb names for a fucking premium game,
yeah.
Premium currency, Galemium. Jesus.
Galemium, yeah. Apparently, you can earn that in game as well, but I don't care. I just got enough money. I unlocked Batman, and I'm now on my way to unlock Velma as a playable character, because those are the characters I have the most fun with.
Well, that was not what I expected to hear.
Oh, dude, it's a great game. I have a bad taste in my mouth from Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl, because that game released, and it was a Smash. It was just an out and out Smash clone with all these Nickelodeon characters, and thought, this would be quite fun, because you can play as the Avatar characters, you can play as the Ninja Turtles, you can play as Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy, you can play as Ren and Stimpy themselves. But it had no voice acting, and it just kind of felt a bit half done. But then you go to multiverses, and you've got fucking what's his name? Vin Diesel saying Iron Giant's lines. You've got Maisie Williams coming back to voice Arya Stark. You've got Susan Eisenberg voicing Wonder Woman. You've got Kevin Conroy coming back to voice Batman. Tara Strong voicing Harley Quinn. You've got all the original voice actors back, obviously with the exception of LeBron James, to voice their characters. So there's been more love and care put into multiverses, the free-to-play game, because they know if we go free-to-play and we bring in the characters, and we have a rollback netcode, people won't be so pissed off about paying for character skins and that, because you can still unlock them in game.
Nice. I don't mind that type of business model, as long as you're not being exploitative of like the whole kind of unlocking thing for skins. As long as it's not too bad for that. But it's interesting.
Yeah,
I wonder where this started.
We have to see what it's like in the full version. So it might change.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will.
Time for some elevator pitches.
Let's do it.
Right. I name dropped them earlier, but I said that there was Taiwanese folk metal, so I'm gonna give the elevator pitch for Longma, which is a song by Nini Music, and basically there's no vocals on this track, but there is a fantastic sound. It just feels very different. Nini Music does covers as well, like this. She can get started on YouTube as well. A lot of these, but so if you want to hear cover songs of like pop songs with Asian folk instruments, give it a listen.
Nice one.
What have you brought for the class, Dominic?
Dude, you just filled me. I don't like that. You've heard me talk about this channel a few times, and now I'm basically going to drop the link to you, so you have no reason not to watch it. But I've been watching for the past, I think, 2-3 years, a channel called Dead Meat on YouTube, and I've just dropped the link for the channel there. Their signature show is the Kill Count, which is they kind of dissect your favourite films and tally up all the different kills in your favourite horror movies. It's a really, really good series. The host, James A. Janice, genuinely a horror fan, like horror runs in his blood. He's an actor as well, so he's been in a couple of horror TV shows. And it's not just the mainstream horror films that you're going to see in there. You're going to see different films. Like he recently covered Blackula, the blaxploitation version of Dracula, that was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. When you hear blaxploitation, you immediately think, "Oh, this is going to be hard to watch." But no, it was a really, really good film, and the actor playing the titular role had genuinely one of the coolest voices I've ever heard. And then there's other films that he'll do kind of weird B horror films. Like he did a New Year's film that was all about these 4 or 5 British English people. They go to an island for the holiday, for some kind of holiday, and the curse of the mansion starts taking them over, and all these weird, very, very, very good looking special effects just take them over, and it's a really, really good film. So I'd highly recommend, if you're a horror fan, even if you're not, you just want to see a show with a lot of decent production value, recommend that you look up the Dead Meat YouTube channel.
Right, links to that will be in the episode description, and we'll put those out on Twitter as well. Speaking of which, if you'd like to get in contact with us, you can do so at Gibberpish. No, just at Gibberpish on Twitter. It's been a while. You can also reach out to us at gibberpishpodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email. That's where. Until the next time, I've been Colin Graham.
I've been Tom Anderson.
And we've been talking Gibberpish.